Tonight on the NTV Evening News Hour. A scary situation in St. John's as a house catches fire with the region under a fire ban. The Justice Minister aims to fix a court system plagued by delays.
A smart approach to justice starts now.
And a new report urges the province to prioritize funding better public services over tax cuts.
Accessible healthcare, accessible education, services that people can actually get the way that they used to.
And we're tracking some much needed rain tonight into tomorrow across Labrador as a whole, really building in Happy Valley Goose Bay tomorrow morning, all the while tracking a low pressure system, dropping off just some light rain for the Avalon, but cooler temperatures as well. Full details coming up.
The award-winning NTV Evening News Hour with Tony Marie Wiseman, Michael Connors, and your weather forecast with Ryan Harding.
Good evening. We begin with a potentially scary situation in the west end of St. John's today as a house went up in flames with a province-wide fire ban now officially in effect.
Multiple crews battled the fire this afternoon, but the home was destroyed. No injuries were reported, but a pet was killed as firefighters worked quickly to contain that blaze. The fire broke out in a house in a busy commercial and residential district over the lunch hour, with temperatures in the high 20s, a brisk breeze, and the fire ban already in effect. First responders scrambled to contain that area. Police closed Kenmount Road in both directions between Kelsey Drive and Pippi Place. As of 4 o'clock, the road had reopened to one lane of traffic in each direction.
So at 2 minutes after 1 this afternoon, our comms got several reports of a commercial structure fire here on Kenmount Road. As soon as units arrived, we had heavy smoke and fire showing from these two buildings behind Mr. Lube here. Obviously, the threat was the building here in front of us, but also progression of the fire back into the woods, which it did do. So we got ladders up. We got 3 engines here with standpipes and turret nozzles. We're not so much worried about the building that's on fire because that's a complete loss, but the building adjacent and the woods behind, that's the focus here now. We're here now about an hour, and great effort here this afternoon from stopping it from spreading to the woods. We have no idea on cause, way too early to tell. All I can say is that the first arriving units were here within 30 seconds, and they already had heavy smoke and fire coming from the building at that point. When we first got here, there was a report of actual people in the house, but unconfirmed, and we've since realized it was just a pet, unfortunately.
And many more fires continue to burn while the province is experiencing hot, dry conditions. Crews continue to work on 5 active wildfires that are less than 30 kilometers from both Labrador City and Wabush, with new fires igniting just this week. And once again, as of late this afternoon, a province-wide fire ban is in effect until July 17th. NTV's Becky Daly has the latest.
Hot and dry weather hasn't helped with suppression efforts. That's why crews have been working long hours both on and off the ground to tackle hot spots, so the nearby fires don't create a bigger problem for neighboring communities. Action on the wildfire at Walsh River, however, continues to make progress and has not grown in size. However, the evacuation order for those residents remains in effect. The other nearby fires are smaller and some classified as being held. But as more than 20 wildfires burn, the Department of Forestry continues to monitor them, including a fire in Quebec that is approaching the Labrador border. And as of now, an evacuation alert remains in place for Dooley Lake, Throne Lake, and Tamarack Golf Course area. Becky Daly, NTV News.
Firefighters also made quick work of a downtown brush fire last evening. It was shortly before 6:30 when crews were called to the Cuckles Cove area in St. John's. Firefighters arrived to find the growing fire among the trees roughly 50 meters from the road. Crews were able to knock down the fire while soaking the area to make sure no hot spots remained.
A child in Nain suffered serious, potentially life-threatening injuries after a collision between a vehicle and a bicycle. It happened Monday evening at around 8:45. The RCMP say it happened at the intersection of Harmony and Angel Streets. The child, who was riding the bike, was taken to the local clinic and then later transported to a larger center for further treatment. The driver of the vehicle remained at the scene and has fully cooperated with the investigation. Nain RCMP are looking to speak to witnesses or anyone with video surveillance or dash camera footage of the incident.
The province's justice minister is promising to fix a court system that has been plagued by delays. The state of the justice system has been under scrutiny since the PCs took office, but the minister hopes to introduce reforms modeled on Ontario. Here is NTV's Mary-Kate O'Neill with the story.
A smart approach to justice starts now.
That's Helen Conway-Ottenheimer, Minister of Justice and Public Safety. She spoke to reporters today to say she plans to reform our justice system.
It has not been given the attention or the resources or the time that it needed to over the years, and that is exactly what we're going to do. We're going to look at trying to make this a system that is a gold standard in our country.
Minister Conway-Ottenheimer recently traveled to Ontario to assess how their court system operates and its models that she hopes to bring back to this province.
It was an incredible trip to examine the different models that they have in place. What is very encouraging about these models is with respect to the reduction of repeat offenders in these communities. The rates of recidivism were reduced significantly according to the data. That is an effective and an efficient way to address the huge problem that we have with our revolving door and our repeat offenders. The Provincial Court Working Group, who are now going to take this as well, what we've learned, to make the necessary implementations and addressing these things in our court systems.
Conway-Ottenheimer faced many questions today about ongoing disruptions within the court system. Disruptions, she says, are significantly improving since some provincial courtrooms had to close their doors due to staffing shortages in November. She says 8 new sheriff officers have also been hired.
Recruitment of staff is a problem, throughout the nation. Recruiting staff in correctional systems. So that's not something just unique to our province. But I'm optimistic. Yes, we've hired 8 in 12 weeks. I think that's encouraging, and we're going to strive to do better.
Conway-Ottenheimer also responded to recent criticisms from both opposition parties, saying these justice and public safety issues date back well before the PCs took over office.
It is a little disheartening and perhaps disingenuous when I see, criticisms being made by the opposition critic who was in government and who was in cabinet for many years, and yet we really didn't see much progress in terms of our justice system in this province. However, having said that, the goal is to focus on the work that needs to be done.
Minister Conway-Ottenheimer says a work plan by the Department of Justice and Public Safety is in the works. Mary-Kate O'Neill, NTV News.
A new report from the Canadian Centre for Policy Alternatives has analyzed the value of public services in this province. It found that public services are better than tax cuts for supporting residents struggling with the rising cost of living. NTV's Bailey Howard reports.
As the cost of living continues to rise, a new report says more funding for public services is the answer.
Accessible healthcare, accessible education, services that people can actually get the way that they used to.
The Canadian Centre for Policy Alternatives report titled "The Value and Benefits of Public Spending for Households in Newfoundland and Labrador" estimates that the average household would need to spend more than $30,000 annually to replace the public services it currently receives.
We really wanted to look at what kinds of affordability investments actually serve the public best, as opposed to maybe what the government did in the recent budget.
One of the report's authors is Memorial University political science professor Russell Williams. He says in the province's most recent budget, government focused on tax cuts.
Most of those benefits go to high-income households, and they don't really help people manage the cost of living.
According to the report, most of the benefits came from income tax cuts in the 2026 budget, with the top 10% saving more than $900 a year, but the bottom 10% saving about $7. NAPE President Jerry Earle says the report backs up arguments that the union, which represents public sector workers, has been making to the provincial government for years.
Now we have a supporting document to basically say, we told you so.
In addition to calling on the province to make more investments in public services, he says government needs to properly compensate public employees to support recruitment and retention. Earle says private services also come with a higher price tag.
And actually some of the numbers are astounding when it says it actually adds a cost of between 4 and 62% when you lean towards privatization of public service.
According to polling numbers in the report, 87% of respondents think government should prioritize addressing the cost of living. 50% think government should invest in public services, and 68% are concerned that privatization will cost more and reduce the quality of services. NTV News has reached out to the provincial government for comment. Bailey Howard, NTV News.
The City of St. John's and the provincial government issued a joint statement as police continue to investigate the recent series of suspicious fires in Cochrane Pond Park. The park, which is located on Crown land, was previously run by a private operator under a license for many years. But the province terminated that license in November of 2025. That's after the two levels of government said the operator had not addressed deficiencies when an order to vacate was issued in April of 2025. The park remains closed, and residents are reminded that entering the property is prohibited and may place people at risk, interfere with ongoing operations, or impede emergency responders. More information will be provided when the governments are confident it will not impede ongoing response efforts.
In our business report, the TSX dropped 337 points today to 34,936. The Venture Exchange down 7 points to 887. The Dow fell 577 points to 52,348. The Nasdaq was up 52 points to 25,871. Gold fell $25.30 to $4,080.94 U.S. an ounce. Brent crude oil up $4.39 to $78.55 U.S. per barrel. The Canadian dollar up 0.19 to 70.6 cents U.S. Fortis shares up by a dime to $81.78 a share. Labrador iron ore down 16 cents to $27.14, and Altius Minerals down 71 cents to $60.60.
Tonight's weather
brought to you by Chevrolet's Employee Pricing for You. Get up to $14,852 cash purchase credit on a 2026 Chevrolet Silverado ZR2.
Well, as we saw from the fire video, a hot, dry day, and definitely not good for the whole province with that fire ban now in effect.
No, absolutely. I know earlier today, I'm not sure what the temperature is now, but it was about 30 degrees in St. John's. It's pretty hot for this part of the province, isn't it, Ryan?
It is, yeah. We get just shy of that 30-degree mark in St. John's. The feels like, anyway. We were 27.7 for that base temperature in St. John's, 2 degrees away from the all-time record of 29.7. We were at 32 in Happy Valley Goose Bay at its peak. That was the warmest spot in the country today. The only spots to hit 30 on the board on the island. As you see, Badger and Gander still pretty close, but it was Terra Nova and Pools Island. We see Quinebrook at 26, cooler in Daniels Harbor, some stronger wind, and we can apply that to the south coast as that south wind has the south-facing side of the island a little bit cooler today. All right, last night we talked about some haze in the sky leading into this morning. This was sunset in Dildo. Ken Pretty sending us that photo. You can see by the color of the pink that they're in the real brightness of the red in that sun that there's a little bit of haze as it goes down. Ken Pretty, thank you very much. I probably could have put you in dildo from your last name alone there, Ken, buddy. So appreciate you sending that. And then to this morning, we had a sunrise with still that little bit of haze in Harbor Breton, Beulah Drake. Back from the Bonavista Vista Peninsula, Beulah. I hope you had a great time. And again, you can really tell in that sun and the reflection of it that there was some of that haze in the air. And up, Kim, to Port Anson, showing us that there was, look at that artsy photo, first of all, but some haze again this morning at sunrise in the backdrop. But then we have a secondary photo to see how things kind of rolled out through the afternoon with those clear skies. The haze past us. Glenn showing us that from Pilley's Island. Beautiful Pilley's Island. How we doing, Pilley's Island? Good to see you. All right, let's take a quick peek. We can kind of see how that moved through this morning, specifically the north-facing side a little bit longer, but some on the south as well, and a bit more there in Labrador. Labrador West was decreased from 7 to 6 on the air quality scale today, so that took it out of the high risk and more so into moderate, and that's where that stands right now. Let me be honest with you, I'm not sure how this one's going to work. We're going to give it a try, see if it's going to move for us. Maybe not. It didn't work last time either. Made some adjustments. Look at that. There we go. We've got some movement. So we're going to see that smoke kind of increase through the next few days. So we're there on the 9th, which is tomorrow, and then into the 10th on Friday. We're going to see that smoke come back into the island, first on the west coast and through to central, and move west to east as we go into the weekend. So this is from Environment Canada. Again, anticipating a little bit of a growth first in that smoke in Labrador, and then will decrease as that moves down later into the week into the island. And on that, we can skip right past that into St. John's and show that that haze has lifted from this morning. This shot, even at the noon hour, was a little less blue and a little more gray, despite there being no clouds in the sky. Another thing that we're going to see is the wind shift, and this is going to come into tomorrow from the east for the first time in a while there. That comes from a low pressure system moving south of us, which we'll show in just a moment. Still some increased winds, specifically the western side of the northern peninsula, and then we're going to get a straight south wind up through central. Into tomorrow afternoon, it's gusting close to 40 in Labrador West, but we do have limited daytime highs in Labrador West, and thanks to that east wind on the Avalon as well. So we can show you that. We brought it in the 5:30. We'll do it once more. It's 11 degrees at 8 and 9 a.m. in St. John's, and that kind of holds. It does increase inland. Again, the difference between wind off the water and off the land. And then that south wind isn't going to make things quite as cool in central, but there's not quite the ceiling for those daytime highs like we saw today. So 26 degrees, 24, 26 the average through to central. Some increased cloud, which we'll see on the west coast as well. At 23 degrees, we're into the teens on the northern peninsula with some rain, which we'll show you in just a second. And it shows sun and cloud there on the eastern side and 21 degrees. We were just showing you how some of the inland communities kind of bolsters that average. And we're going to mix in some rain in the afternoon as well, but some sun and cloud with that. Now, we do see some much needed rain on the Thursday into Labrador. We can put some into that cloud icon in Labrador West as well, but not quite as much as the rest of the big land. So we'll show you an overview here first of that rain starting through the overnight tonight in Lab West, and then we'll dive deeper into that the next time we get together. There also in the morning is that increased cloud, which is going to shift around, break at times. So yeah, some sunny breaks in there, but at 3 p.m. we see some rain passing through the Avalon, and we see that rain moving off of Labrador and into the northern peninsula with some very tail end light showers looking to pass through the Port-au-Port Peninsula, Stephenville, and Corner Brook. So that the Avalon rain comes by way of this low pressure system, again moving south of Nova Scotia, south of Newfoundland. It comes into the Trepassey region at 1 p.m. We take a bit of a closer look here, and it's just going to take its time through the afternoon, taking the drive we all love into town there at 3 p.m. And there's a bit of a difference between the eastern side and the western side. A few extra millimeters to be had the further east you go. And from 3 p.m. till about the supper hour, and maybe even then some a little bit afterwards, some light rain anticipated, leaving behind just some cloud. But with the wind facing that direction, you know, you're going to get some fog in there. And it starts early. It does break at times over the Avalon, the south coast, but it comes back into the evening there, specifically for the northeastern side and southeastern side of the Avalon there. Looks like some on the western side of the northern peninsula as well. And that all leads into a damper but warmer Friday. So we'll see that in a 5-day forecast, and we'll take a closer look in Labrador with that rain, give you some totals, and then where it kind of shapes up in terms of putting them where the much needed areas are. Tony Marie, Michael?
Thank you very much, Ryan. The Basque are a fiercely independent people with a proud maritime tradition. Over 500 years ago, they earned a solid reputation as master shipbuilders and expert navigators. NTV's Gary Smythe takes us back to the days of their daring voyages and the legacy they left behind in Part 3 of The Trail of the Cod.
The Basques played a major role along the trail of the cod, first arriving as whalers, and then, just a few years later, cod fishermen arrived and stayed for generations. To understand who the Basques were, we need to look at their impressive history. The Basque people have lived in their homeland for over 1,000 years. Even though the Basque country has existed for so long, it never became a nation of its own. A quick look at the map shows that this region spans parts of both Spain and France. So today we're in a special place. We're up in the mountains in a town called Bioc. And if you look behind me here, you can see everything on that side of the road is French, and everything over here is Spanish. That's because the border goes right down the white stripe in the middle of this road. But it doesn't matter which side of that stripe you're on, you're still in Basque country. Through the ages, they had a good life. They had timberlands and mining in the Pyrenees Mountains, fertile valleys for farming, and a thriving coastal fishing industry. This seafaring lifestyle led them to become leaders in shipbuilding and navigation for centuries. The Basques were among the first Europeans to arrive off our shores. They made a major impact in Red Bay in southern Labrador for cod fishing and whaling. In this archive footage, we can see that their presence can still be witnessed today. But was it worth it? It was a lot of work, and they were thousands of kilometers from home. Xavier Agota, president of the Albaola Shipyard Museum on the Spanish side of the Basque Country, says yes, it was well worth it.
Actually, you know, the Basques were the only ones providing with the whale oil to the European markets, so they made lots of money.
Okay, the ship's owners made money, but what about the whalers and the cod fishermen? Was it worth their while to make this long, often dangerous journey year after year?
Oh yeah, they used to get lots of money because, you know, back then they used to go there as a cooperative system. You know, they used to get paid with the oil. You know, like, you know, around half of the cargo was distributed in equal parts to all the sailors. But they were there for a long time, very, very long time. Not only for whaling, also for cod fishing.
Today, as we travel through Basque towns, it's clear that they are deeply proud of their long-standing maritime heritage. The Basque Museum in Bayonne, France, has an exhibit highlighting their presence on the Grand Banks.
Yes, this is our main objective. It's to make things in mind for people, to remind things, and the past, to make the past more present.
Cod might not bring Basque fishermen to the Grand Banks anymore, but it's still popular in their cuisine. Meanwhile, the Basque economy is thriving. Life is good. And hopefully that good life still carries a little bit of the spirit they created in our part of the world along the trail of the cod. From the Basque country in Spain and France, this is Gary Smythe reporting for NTV News.
A temporary water ban is in effect for the town of Holyrood due to low water levels from dry conditions and increased water consumption. The town has prohibited any non-essential outdoor water use, including lawn watering, car washing, and filling swimming pools, to ensure that there is enough water available for essential residential needs and emergency services. That includes fire protection. The town will continue to monitor water levels closely and provide updates.
A collision in the center of St. John's late last night caused significant damage but resulted in no serious injuries. Emergency crews were called to the intersection of Empire Avenue and Mayor Avenue just before 10:45. Both vehicles, a car and an SUV, sustained extensive damage. One person was taken to hospital with injuries not believed to be serious. Some traffic was detoured away from the scene until the damaged vehicles could be removed.
A police operation wrapped up this morning on Doyle Street in St. John's. It was just after 7:30 that the RCMP alerted the public of an increased police presence in that area. While there was not any immediate threat to public safety, residents were asked to avoid the area. But as of 9:15 this morning, the RCMP announced that the operation had concluded and residents could return to their regular activities. There will be an ongoing police presence in the area as their investigation continues.
A youth was ticketed on Monday after a collision between the ATV that the unsupervised youth was riding and a pickup truck. Just before 2 o'clock in the afternoon, police responded to the Conception Bay Highway near Bryans Road. The investigation determined the ATV had struck the side of the pickup truck while trying to turn left. No injuries were reported. The ATV and the truck both sustained damage. The driver of the ATV was under the age of 16 and was not being supervised as required by regulations. Police also impounded the ATV for operating on the road without insurance.
With some of the summer's biggest concerts set to start in just over a week, the RNC is warning fans to watch out for ticket scams. Police say scammers are posting fake tickets online, often at inflated prices. Police warn others may advertise discounted tickets on the day of the concert to make the deal seem too good to pass up. Once the money is sent, the scammer often disappears, blocking the buyer or deleting their social media account. The RNC recommends checking the event's ticket resale policy, confirming whether there is an authorized resale platform, and buying only from official ticket sellers or approved resellers. Police also remind the public never to send money by email transfer unless they know and trust the seller.
Police in Lewisport are asking for your help in finding a missing man. 36-year-old Andrew Hurley was last seen leaving a residence in Embry on Monday evening. He's described as 6 feet tall, 190 pounds, with short brown hair and a goatee. He was last seen wearing a red plaid shirt, blue jeans, and red Vans-style sneakers. Anyone with information on Andrew Hurley's whereabouts is asked to contact the RCMP.
The Conception Bay North area is looking for volunteers to come out this weekend and help clean up the Western Bay Boardwalk after last year's devastating wildfire season. The Western Bay Lighthouse Trails are hoping to rebuild 300 feet of damaged boardwalk later this month, but first they're going to need to clear what's left of the damage from those wildfires. Those looking to volunteer are asked to come out this Sunday and to bring equipment if you can, such as chainsaws, crowbars, hammers, and drills, or ATVs with trailers to haul the damaged wood.
Still ahead in tonight's news, Sharon Snow tells us about Best Kind barbecue in your community. Ryan Harding will have the latest in the weather forecast. And when we come back on the Inside Story, Health Minister Leila Evans announces funding for health and transportation in Labrador. This is the NTV Evening News Hour. Welcome back to the NTV Evening News Hour. Tonight on the Inside Story, Health Minister Leila Evans was in Happy Valley Goose Bay today to announce money to enhance services in Labrador, from air access to healthcare improvements. She says Budget 2026 will address some of those key essentials for residents of the region.
In the past, last year, the pilot introduced 2 return tickets. We're expanding that now for this year. People will be able to access 4 return tickets. So that's a big help for people trying to travel. In addition to that, the processing time. If you wanted to travel, you had to, contact them, put in your application, and you needed 28 days. We reduced that now down to 7 days. In addition, if you have your ticket purchased and you need to cancel, last year you had to cancel 3 days in advance, 72 hours. We reduced that down to 24. A lot of patients taking up acute care beds that really they're waiting on a long-term care bed because they need those supports. Or we have people in the beds in Happy Valley Goose Bay at the Labrador Health Facility who are not ready to be able to go back to their own home. They need extra help like physio and other supports. And so what we've done to address those issues, to free up the beds and to improve access to healthcare, what we've done is we're investing in the pad home. We have this year invested money so that the pad home will be redeveloped, refurbished into a new modern long-term care facility where we will actually have 26 beds available. for people in the region and people from Labrador who need long-term care. In addition to that, we budgeted for 8 transition beds in the hospital, and these will be modern beds where patients' needs will be addressed. And so for long-term care beds at Paddon, at the new refurbished Paddon home, we're looking at having those beds come available within the next 3 years. We're starting to work this year. The transition beds, we're looking at making that quicker. The flights, in actual fact, we're putting the system online right now. This coming Tuesday, people should be able to go in online and book.
For the United States president, it was a day of tough talk and mixed messages over Iran at the NATO summit. CTV's Joy Melvin has all the details.
The U.S. president said he's done. At the NATO summit, Donald Trump declared the fragile ceasefire with Iran is no more.
I think it's over. I don't want to deal with them anymore. They're scum. They're led by sick people. And they're vicious, violent people. And if they had a nuclear weapon, they'd use it.
After another round of tit-for-tat strikes, the U.S. military blasted 80 targets in Iran. Retaliation, it says, for Iran's attacks on commercial oil tankers violating the ceasefire. In response, Tehran said it struck American bases in the Gulf, and Trump is furious.
We hit them very hard last night. Very, very hard. Probably hit them hard again tonight. I'll give them a little warning. We may take over Cargill Island. There's not a thing they can do about it.
Canada's Prime Minister felt the U.S. strikes were justified.
The United States has responded as appropriate to look to stop this behavior and put in place at least conditions to reestablish the ceasefire.
But as mourning continues for Iran's supreme leader, state media accused the president of bullying. One official warned Trump is, quote, driving the region toward fire. But by the afternoon, Trump, who once praised Iran's leadership as smart and rational, said,
I think they're a little loco. They're a little crazy. I got to know them, and I'm not sure I want to make a deal with them. We can play games, but I'm not sure I want to make a deal. Let's just finish the job.
Unclear if this is a return to full-scale war. The president declared he's Iran's #1 target, calling ceasefire talks a waste of time, but said his negotiating team could still go ahead. Joy Melvin, CTV News, Washington.
Tonight's weather
brought to you by your Atlantic Ford store. Go the distance with the 2026 F-150 Power Boost Hybrid.
All right, let's dive into some weather, will we? How are you? Hot enough for you or what? 24 degrees, Fort McMurray, a little bit of rain and thunder-like conditions on the way there. Anywhere from 10 to 15 millimeters, I'd say, tonight into tomorrow. But 24 sun and cloud for now. It's 27 down in Calgary, 26 in Winnipeg, sun and cloud through to Thunder Bay. That rain thereafter, that's what's on the way to the island on Friday. Going to break up a little bit over Montreal and the rest of the Atlantic provinces. And it's 20 degrees in Halifax, down 10 from that 30 in Montreal. And that green there, that's what's on our way tomorrow afternoon with that low pressure system. Still 25 in Labrador City and 19 in Nain currently. Okay, we can take a look at the country in terms of the wildfires. It's obviously not just a Labrador concern. It's right across the country, and Alberta not doing too bad for the family and friends up there, although 34 on the border into the territories. Northern Manitoba, 116 just in that one cluster right there. So it's good for context. You do see the 54 and 66 number in Quebec. That's where a lot of our smoke that we talked about the last time we got together is coming from. And then we see the 21 into Labrador, which has the fire hazard updates. We'll bring you again. We talked about it in 5:30 with that press release coming out from the government right before airtime, but it's all high and very high in terms of those fire hazards here today. And of course, ban in effect for fires province-wide now. But before that came out, we were looking at this, and these still hold true, although we're going to be able to take that fire ban, what do we even call that? I keep calling it the chain link fence. I need a better term for that. Border? We're going with border. Anyway, across here, we can put it to the whole province because that's what's been put in place. But extreme to the north portion of the Avalon, the Burin Peninsula, and then very high northern peninsula, Kittiwake Coast, Fogo Island, Bonavista Peninsula, rather, in the south portion of the Avalon. And again, as a reminder, zoomed in there, that red and extreme portion, that's Terra Nova National Park. But the rain is on the way, so it's minimal in Newfoundland. We do see 5 to 10 on the Bay Verte Peninsula, closer to the 5 by the looks of things. 2 to 4 St. Anthony, 1 to 3 West Avalon, 3 to 5 on the eastern side of the Avalon. And then we see Port au Choix right in there at that 2 millimeter mark. So you can see the difference between St. Anthony and Port au Choix, west and east. Looks like it builds a little bit over the land getting to the eastern side. Into Labrador, well, unfortunately for Labrador West, it is on the shorter side of things in terms of time spent and rain amounts, 2 to 4 millimeters, matching the south coast there. It does build as we go, though. 5 millimeters for Churchill Falls, 5 to 10 for Happy Valley Goose Bay, and then Nain, we're in that 10 millimeter range, and I think Makkovik is closer to the 20 millimeter range. We'll have to see how things shift as we go here. So as we lay on the fires that are in place in Labrador currently active, we'll bring that down a little bit so you can still see them and try to pair that with some of the rain that's coming through. 9 p.m. tonight, part of that 2 to 4 millimeters for Labrador City comes through, pushes into Churchill Falls there near the midnight hour, and then through the overnight we'll see the rain start in Happy Valley Goose Bay, but really build into the morning. We can apply that into Churchill Falls as well. It comes up from a little bit south, and so that's why we're getting less in Labrador West, and at 7 a.m. The sun returns, but limited temperatures tomorrow compared to what we saw today. We see the rain starting there early in Nain through to Makkovik. Some of it exits out through Cartwright, some of it exits out through Makkovik, and the rest of it finishes off lightly there on the south coast. And that's the rain that comes into the northern peninsula. We can see here that it returns Saturday and Sunday. We saw that shaping up over the other parts of Canada, but that's when it makes its stop on the eastern side of the island, and a drop off in temperature on Sunday at 14 degrees. We move over to the south coast. Some light rain on the Friday. We talked about the extra fog on the Thursday. Limited temperatures with, even though it's southeast, it's still south. Wind on that south-facing side will hold 18 Saturday through to Monday. Not as much rain for Central, so it looks like the bulk of that will be on the eastern side, but still there in terms of picking up some amounts. Anyway, Saturday and Sunday, 22, 18 degrees, and then back up to 26, sun and cloud on the Monday. We move over to the west coast, just that extra cloud into the afternoon tomorrow, which looks to hold into Friday. At points late Friday, we'll see some light rain trickle into the Saturday before the sun and cloud continues through the end of the weekend and into early next week at 24 degrees on Monday. There's that rain for the northern peninsula on the Thursday, 19 degrees down to 18, and then just one at a time there, 13, 12, but we'll pick back up sun and cloud Monday, 16 degrees. The only thing different on the south coast is a little extra chance of rain on the Monday, but we do see that sun and cloud Friday through to Sunday. It comes at 23 degrees on Monday into the north coast, very similar. But it looks like some of that rain does Thursday night transition into Friday morning before the sun and cloud last through the weekend. Cooler temperatures again, down to 12 on Friday before getting back up to 19 on the Sunday. In Happy Valley Goose Bay, once we get through that Thursday, there is sun and cloud. Not quite as warm tomorrow at 26. Then we'll hold a pair of low 20s before we get into that high 20 mark at 26 and somewhere in between on Monday at 23. We'll finish things off in Labrador West. It's great to see, isn't it? A little bit of rain there on the Friday and the Monday, and then lower temperatures for a few days. So we'll take that 22, 23, and 21 Saturday through to Monday.
A valiant effort from Canadian tennis star Felix Auger-Aliassime wasn't enough to get him into the Wimbledon semifinals for the first time. He lost to Novak Djokovic in a match that took 5 hours and 15 minutes to complete. Here are the highlights.
Later, the Canadian looking to break back jumps on the second serve from Djokovic to tie the set at 2 games apiece. So just like the first set, this one needed a tiebreak. Felix up 6-4 with set point, and Djokovic puts this one right into the net, sending this one to a 5th and final set. The crowd was loving it. Now the match stayed on serve, meaning that we needed another tiebreak. Tired yet? Djokovic up 4-3 with a mini break. Felix in control of the rally, but he sends this one into the net. Oh, Djokovic getting the crowd fired up. And he's looking to put this one away moments later.
And there it is. Novak Djokovic does it one more time on center court at Wimbledon.
6-3. 6-3. 6-3. 6-3. 6-3. 6-3. 6-3. 6-3. 6-3. 6-3. 6-3. 6-3. 6-3. 6-3. 6-3. 6-3. 6-3. 6-3. 6-3. 6-3. 6-3. 6-3. 6-3. 6-3. 6-3. 6-3. 6-3. 6-3. 6-3. 6-3. 6-3. 6-3. 6-3. 6-3. 6-3. 6-3. 6-3. 6-3. 6-3. 6-3. 6-3. 6-3. 6-3. 6-3. 6-3. 6-3. 6-3. 6-3. 6-3. 6-3. 6-3. 6-3. 6-3. 6-3. 6-3. 6-3. 6-3. 6-3. 6-3. 6-3. 6-3. 6-3. 6-3. 6-3. 6-3. 6-3. 6-3. 6-3. 6-3. 6-3. 6-3. 6-3. 6-3. So Djokovic gets the job done, takes down the Canadian in the longest quarterfinal in Wimbledon history, 5 hours and 15 minutes. The 39-year-old earns a record 15th trip to the semifinal at the All England Club, where he'll face Yannick Sinner on Friday.
We're going to take a break now in the NTV Evening News Hour, but do stay with us. When we come back, Sharon Snow is going to be here tonight. She tells us about the best kind barbecue. Welcome back to the NTV Evening News Hour. Tonight in your community, Sharon Snow tells us about a pretty special barbecue.
Tonight in your community, we are here in the city of Mount Pearl at St. David's Park to tell you all about Best Kind Barbecue. Joining me is Brent Mack, who knows everything there is to know about this event. Super cool event coming up here on Saturday. Tell us all about it.
Thanks so much, Sharon. Yeah, this Saturday, 2 to 9. I mean, we're an independent electronic music festival. We have food trucks, artists from all over North America, games. So there's a little bit of everything happening here this Saturday.
I love that. An electronic music festival. We can come to the park, enjoy the time, have a great meal. Tell us about the food vendors.
Absolutely, yeah. So we have 4 great food vendors. We have Cajone's Food Truck. We have Wood Pizza NL. We have Eva's OG Chimney Cones, and then we have Masker's Barbecue Pit, a relatively new food vendor with some delicious Texas-style barbecue. So, of course, we had to bring the barbecue to the barbecue.
I love that. Who doesn't love a barbecue?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Now, tell me about tickets. Can you just walk in, get your ticket at the door? Do you recommend buying them pre-sale?
Definitely grab some in advance. BestKindBarbecue.com, Best Kind Barbecue on Facebook, Instagram. You can find the link there. There might be some at the door, but it's always best, and definitely save you a few bucks to grab an advance ticket.
Now, you've been doing this for quite a number of years. What kind of response have you been getting?
It's been amazing. I mean, we realized this year it's our 9th year. Started in our backyard as sort of a fun little backyard event and grew year over year. Mount Pearl kind of got wind of it around 2019 and invited us to come check out their space, and they've been phenomenal to deal with. So we've been here since 2019, and it's been growing, brick by brick, year over year. And yeah, we've been a lot of repeat attendees, a lot of people building it into their summer plans. So it's been a great part of the summer festival season here in Newfoundland.
I love it. So July the 11th, that's this Saturday. Tell us about the time.
July 11th, 2 to 11 p.m. We have 9 artists. Again, our headliner this year, Whipped Cream. She's flying in from Vancouver, first time ever in Atlantic Canada. She played massive events all across North America. So we have a fun day planned.
I love it. Now all we need is great weather and come on down.
Come on down, enjoy yourself, bring your dancing shoes, bring your sunscreen, and yeah, let's have a good day here at St. David's in Mount Pearl.
Oh, sounds like a lot of fun. Thanks so much. I appreciate that. And that's what's happening right here in your community in the city of Mount Pearl. Best Kind Barbecue. For NTV News, I'm Sharon Snow.
A certain music icon is headed from the Smoky Mountains to New York City. CNN's David Daniel has that and more in our Hollywood Minute.
I can officially announce that Dolly, a true original musical, is coming to Broadway.
You heard it from the source. The musical about Dolly Parton's life, loves, losses, and finding her way heads to Broadway in December. The music legend says it includes some of her biggest hits and new songs Parton wrote for the show. More info at Dolly Musical.
Hey, you and I can heal the past. And together, we can build a new world.
Welcome to Team Avatar.
Return to the Four Nations with Avatar Aang, the Last Airbender. Aang and his friends learn of an ancient power that could save his culture from extinction or shatter the peace they worked so hard to build. The original movie debuts July 25th on Paramount+. In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
Stay with us while we take one more break on the NTV Evening News Hour. Ryan Harding will be back to recap the weather forecast. The sun is still out, 31 degrees on the NTV board. And when we come back on the Inside Story, Jim Furlong will have Today in History.
Welcome back to the NTV Evening News Hour. On a day filled with fires, we look back at the most devastating fire in the history of the capital city. Here is Jim Furlong with Today in History.
Like all disasters from Titanic to Ocean Ranger and all the rest, the Great Fire of 1892 in St. John's wasn't a single thing gone wrong. It was a group of things all linked to one another. It was the 8th of July, 1892, when fire broke out at 5 in the afternoon at the stable of one Timothy Bryan. It's at the juncture of Pennywell Road and Freshwater Roads. The water in St. John's at that time had been turned off. The fire started and roared into life before the system could be reactivated. A strong wind was blowing from the northwest. That day, before the fire burned out, 3/4 of the city of St. John's was in ruins. The loss? About $13 million. Over 1,500 buildings were burned. Nearly 2,000 families left homeless. The loss of life? Only 2. Mrs. Stevens and her daughter died. Their house was on Victoria Street. The Great Fire of 1892 reshaped the city of St. John's. It started on this date in history. This is Jim Furlong reporting.
Birthdays and anniversaries brought to you by the Healthcare Foundation. We are the foundation that takes action so we all can take care of each other.
Beginning this evening with a photo of Glennis and Owen Hallwell. They are from Lewisport and they're celebrating their 57th wedding anniversary. Happy 55th anniversary to Christine and Wayne Stringer. Happy 54th wedding anniversary to George and Lola Beckett. Congratulations. Happy 53rd wedding anniversary going out to Sherman and Judy Golding, originally from Grand Falls, Windsor. They now live in Ontario. Edward House of Gillams celebrating a 90th birthday. Happy 90th birthday as well to Teresa Clark of Garnish. Gilbert and Jacqueline Kernew living in Deer Lake, celebrating their 59th wedding anniversary. Happy 72nd anniversary to Chess and Sadie Jenkins. Alonzo and Lucy Stride living at Burntberry Pond, originally from Embry, celebrating a 58th anniversary. Happy 62nd anniversary to Myrtle and Lloyd Dalton. They live in Hillview. Roy and Patricia Healy celebrating their 61st anniversary. Happy 90th birthday to Ellen Kendall of Port Basque. Frank and G. McDonald of Kilbride celebrating a 62nd anniversary. Happy 53rd wedding anniversary to Bruce and Sadie Shepherd. They live in Shearstown. Gilbert and Daphne Pritchard of Foxtrap celebrating their 59th wedding anniversary. Congratulations to you. Joseph and Mona Rogers celebrating a 53rd anniversary. Happy 62nd anniversary to Ross and Mildred Warren. They live in Herring Neck. Annie and Baxter Robson are celebrating a 57th wedding anniversary. Happy 92nd birthday to Larry Kerfont. Edward James is celebrating a big 91st birthday. Congratulations to you. Happy 94th birthday to Dorothy Foster in St. John's, originally from Old Perlican. Roy and Phyllis Walsh of Ferryland, now living in Simcoe, Ontario, celebrating a 50th wedding anniversary. Happy 90th birthday to Mr. Chess Russell, originally from Bishops Falls, now residing in Powell River, British Columbia. Winnie Guzny is celebrating a 91st birthday. John and Joe Els are celebrating their 56th wedding anniversary. Happy 90th birthday to Laura Anderson in Burgeo, now living, or from Burgeo, now living at the Mountain View Retirement Center in Corner Brook. Garth and Mary Tiller in Corner Brook celebrating a 69th wedding anniversary. Happy 66th wedding anniversary to Robert and May Bradbury in Bishops Falls. Ingham and Denise Blundell of Carboneers celebrating their 60th wedding anniversary. Happy 65th anniversary to Nolan and Florence Young in St. George's. Lauren Tuck residing in Paradise, originally from St. John's Within, celebrating a 90th birthday. Congratulations to you.
Yes, happy birthday indeed. Off to the quarters in the World Cup. If you watched it late last night, I guess it wasn't that late, Switzerland in penalties over Colombia. But tomorrow, France and Morocco, that's a big one. 13 degrees with a little extra cloud. Well, that's for St. Pierre. So a little extra cloud than what we're seeing right here. Bonjour, St. Pierre. Bonne nuit et bonne chance demain. Go France, just for you, St. Pierre. We'll be cheering you on. So a little extra cloud there, a little extra cloud everywhere, really. We see that rain through the overnight into tomorrow morning, move west to east. The skies open up for Labrador West to finish up late morning with that rain in Nain, continues down the coast. And that south coast rain travels into the northern peninsula with some light showers by the looks of it, Corner Brook through to Stephenville and the Port-au-Port Peninsula. And while that's happening, right around 1 p.m. up until about that 5 p.m. mark, some light rain thanks to that low pressure system, keeping those temperatures a little bit cooler with that east wind. And there's that extra cloud in the center. While remaining dry, there'll be some extra clouds, and we'll lose a few degrees in central tomorrow. So gone are the 30s, and back are those mid-20s. If you get the sun and cloud, enjoy it. If you get the rain and need it, well done. If you get it and don't want it, is what it is. We'll see you anyway tomorrow.
All right. Great words there, Ryan. Thanks so much. And thanks to all of you for joining us tonight on the NTV Evening News Hour.
Stay with us. Global National is next. Good night.
Good night.